Good morning. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to Unity of Buffalo. Happy Easter, everybody, on this beautiful, snowy Sunday morning. Next week, we're going to try to have a service outside. The weather looks like it might be possible. Before we begin, please silence your cell phones. And we're going to do something we haven't done in 2 years. We're going to ask the congregation to sing the first song and stand. And also, the choir is going to sing the first time in 2 years as well. So we've got lots of Ahnandhi will be leading the choir and leading our opening song. Thank you, Ahnandhi. Please stand as we sing, Christ the Lord has risen today. Happy Easter.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy Easter. Wow, you realize this is the first time really that we've sung together out loud, with full breath, and we've got our choir today, so what a wonderful way to celebrate. So welcome to Unity of Buffalo, welcome listeners and viewers online. It's my pleasure, Mary Masters, to be here to lead our service today. And we want to begin with prayer, as we do all things in unity. So please join me now in taking a moment to just take a deep breath. Sigh and breathe in the love, the light, the laughter, the positive expectation that we have for good. Easter morning reminds us always that whatever happens, whatever we're going through, Easter morning will come. That we will see a new dawn, the light will come, the healing will happen, the new possibilities, the promise of springtime is not only ours, it's who we are. And for this, we are so grateful. Thank you, God. Amen. So let's affirm together the invocation, our core foundational principle of unity, together. There is only one presence and one power, living as the universe and as me, God the good, omnipotent. And our Unity of Buffalo blessing is to affirm together our church vision, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all, and the mission that we practice every day in all that we do. Practicing the presence of God through prayer, education, service, creativity, and community, and living our core values. Loving, spiritually centered, inclusive, respectful, and compassionate. And I like to think of reading the daily word is education, it's prayer, it's a service when someone volunteers to share with us today. And some people do it with a lot of flair and creativity. And so we're blessed to have Nikki today to share with us the message for Easter. Right here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy Easter. The theme for today is Easter, and today's affirmation is, through Christ, I rise again. On this glorious Easter Sunday, the sun rises on the new day. I am glorious too, called to life and shining with joy because Christ is risen in me. Just as the stone was rolled away to reveal an empty tomb where Jesus' crucified body had been, I roll away the stones of all that has kept me entombed and leave my crucifixion experiences behind. Easter is the celebration of Jesus' overcoming death. It is also an invitation to celebrate my victory over all I have survived. It is a celebration of the triumph of truth, the resurrection of the Christ within. The trials of the world are always temporary. Today I roll away the stone of limitation and am resurrected into the truth of God. With joy I rise again. And the biblical passage that supports this verse is I am the resurrection and the life, John chapter 11, verse 25. And if you would all repeat with me the affirmation on the screen.
Through
Christ, I rise again. Thank you. I just wanted to say again, to please everyone, and I know you are, keep Ukraine, the beautiful people of Ukraine, in your heart, in your thoughts, and in your prayers, and help in any way you can. Okay, I pray for harmony and unity in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki. Well said. Very well said. And so now we have a blessing of the prayer requests in the prayer box and prayers on our heart. And Harriet Romer Hicks is our chaplain for today. And of course, we're continuing to hold in our prayers Mary Frank and others.
Okay, let's take a moment. Take a few deep cleansing breaths, breathing in God's light and God's love, and exhaling any fears or concerns or anything that could keep you from the here and the now. Now center yourself in your heart center and allow these words to be words coming from deep within your heart center. Father, Mother God, I am so grateful for your presence in my life and the lives of everyone I hold dear in my heart. I know, God, that you are with us always, guiding us, loving us. I am so grateful to be a child of yours, heir to all that is good, perfect peace, harmony, good health, love. And I know, God, with you all things are possible. I know that your love for us is greater than any challenge or obstacle that we may face. And with you, all things are possible. Thank you, God. Amen.
Thank you, God, for Harriet and for our prayer chaplain program. Just a reminder that our prayer chaplain each Sunday is always available in the corner, in our lighthouse corner, for one-on-one prayer after the service, and prayer of any kind is graciously received by our prayer chaplains, and I can almost guarantee you will walk away feeling much better and uplifted. So, today is Easter Sunday. And I thought about, what does that mean to you? Easter. That, we all have probably some memories of Easter, something special. I remember my dad, even when I was much older and gone away to college, and even after that, he always had an Easter basket for me, with a couple chocolate bunnies and some chocolate eggs. I was never too old for him to want to remember to give me a little Easter basket. And so, sometimes our Easter it's the eggs, it's a family memory, maybe a special meal. I don't know. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share about, when you think about Easter?
Yeah.
Sure. What is it for you, Steve?
What it was.
Or what it was.
What it was for me was, in particular, a little Easter candy hunt. I wouldn't call it eggs. There wouldn't too many eggs, but in my house, and we'd have to walk around the house and look behind things and open things up, and then of course later I would hide my own children's Easter basket in places that would be really hard to find, because that's just how I roll.
Why are we not surprised? Steve is sharing about hiding candy around his house that you had to go around and find, and with his kids and his grandkids. Sometimes he makes it really hard to find, so they really have to earn it.
I feel, parents gotta have fun too.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. Mary Beth?
Well, along those same lines, when I was older, my mom used to prepare a basket for me and my dad and hide it in very challenging places. So we had a lot of fun, but my dad had to have.
Did you ever do the?
You're hot, you're getting hot, you're ice cold. Oh, you're good enough.
Yeah. You guys are taking notes, close the door. Sometimes Mary Beth had the same experience. Her dad would hide the basket.
No, my dad had to have a basket hidden.
He had to, one of the baskets had
My
to be
mom was
full.
the hider.
Your mom was the hider, okay.
My dad and I had to search
And
for our
you'd go around the house, you're getting hot or you're getting cold. So Easter's a fun time, yeah, Judy.
When our children were small, we would get eggs and hide those around the house. But for the three children, it was a race because the dog also liked
Oh boy. Okay, so sometimes the dog would find the eggs before the kids did. So there's a lot of memories. Eve?
I would say that the first thing in the morning was to get up and find the hidden baskets. And then I remember, if you can picture this, that I would get an Easter dress. And we would all dress up.
Oh wow, okay.
We'd like to see those pictures, Eve.
Yeah, we'd love to see those pictures, Eve, of you in your Easter dress.
Yeah, in the back of Mom's convertible, I got the bonnet,
Yeah, we'd love to see you.
And not to forget the butters.
Oh, okay. So we all have probably some stories if you thought about it a little bit more. But, we think about, what is Easter? What's it all about? And of course, it's a celebration of Jesus overcoming death. Some people think of this as Resurrection Sunday. Charles Fillmore said the resurrection takes place in us every time we realize the perpetual indwelling life that is connecting us to God. And I like to add to that, really the resurrection of Jesus Christ metaphysically was for the purpose, the word resurrect, I need to say first of all, the word resurrect literally means to bring into view again, to restore to life. So I think the resurrection of Jesus Christ ongoing is for the purpose of bringing into view again the divine nature of humankind, of all human beings, that we need to be reminded of that, and it needs to be brought forward. And some people refer to this as the third day, that we are children of the third day, not children of the first day. And so today, actually, as part of my talk, there's going to be a few times I'm going to share with you some short lists of 3 things that I think will help to bring into view again a new meaning for Easter this year. So I don't know. So let's take a look at what is it that really happened. Sorry, got out of order here. Give me a minute. What really happened on Easter Sunday? The sun came up again. The women approached the tomb, and, we're told as they were walking toward it that they were saying to themselves, I wonder how we're going to roll away the stone. That they were expecting this big, huge stone would be at the tomb. And of course, we have 2 different versions of the Easter story in the Bible. In Luke, we're told that they arrived and the stone was already gone, that it had been removed. And in Matthew, it wasn't quite that easy. It took an earthquake. The earth shook, and then angels descended and rolled back the stone. But, in either case, it was a surprise. We're told this was a huge stone. It wasn't like a little rock. It was a stone that was not going to be easily moved. And I always like this. Someone shared with me one time, Brother David Steindl-Rest, a Benedictine monk, said that his favorite word for God was surprise. Because surprise, he felt like, was the only word that really could describe the unlimited nature of God. And so we might say that when the women approached the tomb, it was like, surprise. We could look around the room at each other and say, surprise. The stone was miraculously moved away. And I thought, well, I really continue to be marvel and wonder at how did the women even have the courage to approach the tomb, to think it was going to be even worth trying to go. How many times in our lives do we not even try something? Don't even make the effort because we just think the obstacle is too great. I'd like to go on a trip, but I don't think I have enough money, so I'm not even going to think about it or hope for it or plan for it. Or I'd like to try out. I'd like to sing in the choir someday, but I'm not good enough, so I won't even ask Mike if maybe he could work with me to help me to help me learn to sing. How many things do we not even try? We don't even approach the tomb because we think, the obstacles. I could never be good enough to do that. But the women were the ones that first got the message. Jesus first appeared to Mary. And so, I think the women represent our own feeling nature. For men and women, that our divine feminine within us, that sense of us that just has this deep sense of knowing. Sometimes you just know something. You know that it's the right thing. They knew that they should go to the tomb and trust that somehow when they got there, things would work out. It's that part of us that has faith even in spite of, You know, the naysayers in the world, the skepticism, the cynicism. And to me, it's interesting that in Matthew, it took an earthquake to move that stone. You know, what is an earthquake? It means the ground on which we stand is shaken. Things are shaken up big time. You know, and the ground on which we stand is our belief system. You know, our long-held beliefs, and sometimes that does need to be shaken up. The ground we're standing on is fear, or this is how it's always been. I'm not good enough to do this. So sometimes it takes something major to shake us up. So thank goodness God sent some angels to reassure them. We're told that the angels said, do not fear. I know what you're looking for. You came here looking for Jesus. Come, see for yourself, he's not here. But you will be guided. You'll know what to do. And so this is the first of three things I want to share. And I think it was Judy that shared this with me years ago. Father Tim Cavanaugh said that the work of God follows a three-step pattern. God's work in the world is impossible, difficult, done. Good Friday is the impossible. You know, it's the time when it just feels like all hope is lost. It's like, oh, that's it. You know, I can't go any further. The doctor has said, what does Brother Sam tell us? You know, when the doctor tells you, I can't do anything for you, you know, it's a terminal diagnosis. It doesn't mean there's not an answer. It just means that doctor has reached the edge of the limit of understanding of that individual, and you need to look elsewhere. So we have those moments of when it feels like things are impossible. And then somehow we move through the next day. Admittedly, things are difficult, but with our faith, we hang in there a little bit longer. And then we get to the other side. And then something new is born out of that experience, a new beginning, a new possibility. And that something new is Easter. You know, and we go through this. You know, as the Daily Word says, or the Lenten book reading, Easter isn't a one-time experience that it happened once. You know, this is part of our journey, to every time we rise to the realization of eternal indwelling life. Every time. And we're making union with God mind, and the resurrection of Jesus takes place within us. You know, if we just have the faith and the courage to approach the tomb. It's like last week I talked about the story of the two beggars, you know, that Jesus encountered on the road to Jerusalem. And they were blind, and they understood that it was Jesus that was passing by, and they called out, Lord, may our eyes be opened. And the naysayers, the crowds around them said, shh, be quiet, don't bother Jesus, you know, he's busy. And they called out even louder, Lord, may our eyes be opened. And Jesus stopped and touched them. Or they had an encounter with a higher level of consciousness. And we're told that they could see, their eyes were open. They saw what they couldn't see before. And that's Easter for us, when we can see something that we couldn't see before. That we're all in some ways visually impaired or limited in what we can see. But Easter is the celebration of the triumph of truth, the resurrection of the Christ within us. And so, every year I look at the story, I read it again, or something jumps out to me, and the passage that really spoke to me this year in our daily word is that Easter is an invitation to celebrate my victory over all the things I've survived. You know, that we've already in our lives many times, we've been through that Good Friday experience. We've had a moment where we felt like all hope is lost. or we went through a difficult time. And are you here right now? Are you breathing? And I'd say you survived. You've survived many things. You know, I have to tell you, it was 8 years ago, on Thursday before Easter, that I went to Kenmore Mercy Hospital with a pain in my abdomen, and I was rushed in for emergency surgery that they did on Good Friday to remove a tumor from my abdomen. And I remember Rosemary, our board president at the time, stood here and read my notes for the Good Friday service, and Laura stepped in for the Easter service. And I was back about 6 or 8 weeks later, and I get my Easter sermon later. I said, well, it's never too late to have a happy Easter. You know, but I remember that. And, you know, I think about, I ran in to talk to someone this week that I hadn't seen in quite a while with all this craziness we've been through. And Annika and I were laughing about, well, yeah, it's been quite a long haul for the last couple of years. But, you know, we've all overcome a lot. You know, I could go through the list. You know, who here has had some kind of illness or cancer or something? Who here has overcome some kind of financial adversity? You know, who here has overcome an addiction? Or who here has maybe lost a job or had a career setback? Or who here has lost a loved one? You know, who here has lived through the pandemic? You all have, thank God. You know, or had some kind of disappointment or betrayal or the loss of a friendship. You know, and it's not like we're totally over it. You know, we grieve the loss of a loved one for our whole life probably, but you know, we're carrying on with our lives. We've survived and we've moved on. So I've been reading this book, and I've shared tidbits of it with you over the last several weeks. It's a book called Transitions, Living in Transitions by Bruce Feiler. And he interviewed in depth 250 people about their life in transition. People of all walks of life and ages and everything. And he called it the Life Story Project. And he says that our life stories are healing. You know, it's healing when we share our story with people, when we really look and learn from our story. And I think really that the Easter story is just like that. It's a healing story. It's a story of overcoming. So I wanted to share with you a few of the 3 things that he mentioned, because I see that it so parallels the Easter story. You know, he said that, and also I think it takes some of the mystery out of it. Well, how does this happen? You know, sometimes at Easter people said, well, do you really believe that happened, that he was resurrected, that he came to life again? Do you think? And some people do, and some people think, I'm not sure, you know, but it happened. It happens every day, is what I want to say. Is that it's happening in our lives right now. It's happening in our world. It's an ongoing, and that's what matters the most to me, is how do we move from our dark night of the soul, our Good Friday, our you know, impossible to difficult to done, and how do we make that part of our lives? And here's what a few things that Bruce said that he found. People who are overcomers tend to have 3 things going for them. One is they make plans. They have projects. They keep moving, and they share their stories. And, you know, what he said is people who encounter a big change, a big upheaval in their lives, you know, that, of course, there's this period of time of, like, you know, just maybe overwhelm or shock or grief or whatever, but eventually or this pandemic that we've gone through, but eventually people kind of get to a place where they start to establish a new normal. And part of that new normal usually involves starting some kind of initiatives, a plan or a project or a hobby And he says, it might be gardening, it could be Toastmasters, it might be cleaning the closets, it might be a fitness goal. I've always wanted to run a 5K or a 10K. I'm going to do it. And he says on average, people maybe have as many as 15 different projects going on at the same time. But that he would always ask people when he interviewed people, please tell me about 3 personal projects you have on your plate right now. And everybody could answer that question. A personal project might be something that has personal meaning for you, like writing your memoir, or family genealogy, or getting certified to teach yoga, or becoming a bird chaplain. It might be something that's more belonging-oriented, like caring for others, caring for an elderly child, or delivering Meals on Wheels. Or it might be cause-related, getting involved with a community, something you care about, some organization. But I could just ask you right now, how many of you have some personal projects going on? What's an example of a personal project?
Writing one's memoir.
And you are writing. You are. And this, you have to be working, yeah.
Selling bricks.
Selling bricks, yeah! And we love the way you do that, yeah. So some of it's volunteer things at our church, some of it's other things you do in the community. God sure helps us out. He's a project man around the church. Volunteering with SCORE or the zoo or helping out people in our community. I know every one of you, I know some of your projects, and there's probably a lot more than that. So projects, and then the moving part. And moving sometimes people do physically move, but it doesn't necessarily have to be physically moving out of town or to a different city or another place to live, but it can be just something that gives us a change of scenery or a new identity. It might be coming to a new church like Unity of Buffalo. Something that is, a sense of moving forward. And then the last part is sharing stories. And that's the part I really want to focus on. Is that, that there comes a point in our new normal where there's some things we want to start sharing with other people. They might be small wins or a big change in our lives. It might be a private ritual. It might be something we announce on Facebook to the world. It's embracing something new about who we are. And I love the fact there's a whole area of study called narrative medicine. And some of you may be familiar with this or not, but it's appreciating the idea that telling our stories can be very healing. And Bruce, in his book, identifies three, oops, I goofed, put it back. Help me, Christy. The 3 ways that narratives help us heal. And what this really is about is moving from converting a meaning vacuum to a meaning moment. That when something upends our life, when we have a crucifixion experience, when we're in the Good Friday, we don't have a sense of meaning. It's a vacuum of meaning. It's like, why is this happening? Why did this person die so young? Why, we are really disoriented. But it's possible to move from a meaning vacuum to meaning moments where we find meaning and purpose in it. And for me, the Easter story is about that. Moving from, I can only imagine that the followers of Jesus initially felt a meaning vacuum. On Good Friday, it's over, the story's gone. Will we ever, is there any hope here? But somehow they moved from that to a meaning moment where there was a meaning that was created that has carried on for more than 2,000 years. I saw an author interviewed on TV this week who's written a book about grief. And her mother passed of breast cancer, but through her process of grieving, she was moved to start an organization that brings awareness to the subject of breast cancer and so forth. And she launched the book at the event by serving pancakes at this event because her mother loved to make pancakes. And that was one of her favorite childhood memories. And she wanted to share with people pancakes as a celebration of where she was with this book and what she had to share. But the Easter story, is an example of moving from a void in meaning to finding great meaning. And the first way that he has found in his interviews that people can do this is what's called a time gap, putting some distance between the present and the past. And this takes time, of course, but it's being able to shift from this is happening to me now to, well, this happened to me. Or it's being in that place of saying, yes, I had the experience, I've absorbed the shock, I've endured the pain, and I'm back in the game. Or it's, he shares this example, I open the door, I open, present tense, open the door and I see the body. And I think about that for myself when I came home from high school, softball practice in high school, and my mother had passed, and she was lying on the living room couch. I opened the door and I see the body. And now I can say I opened the door, I saw the body, and I began to realize that my life would change. My life was about to change forever. But that's a big shift from being in the present to having it be in the past, to put some distance on it. And in the Easter story, I think about, the shock that the followers of Jesus must have felt on Good Friday. But then, with the help of the angels, with the guidance that came to them, and we know of at least 10 appearances that Jesus made to his followers after the crucifixion. And then they moved to their upper room experience and the Pentecost, where they literally, you could say, got on fire with moving forward to live the commission that Jesus had given them, to go and share the message. So the first thing we talk about is the time gap, a little bit of being able to put some perspective on it. The second thing is, he calls us when pigs can fly. The second technique for our narrative stories that makes them transformative is to be able to say it in positive language, to be able to convey the idea that anything is possible. And that's the Easter story, to go from Good Friday to Easter Sunday. Wow, anything is possible. And this expression, I learned about this, came from John Steinbeck, that he actually used to sign his name with a little pig with wings on it. But the idea was that at some point he was told by a professor in college, that you'll become a published author when pigs can fly. In other words, forget about it. Tell me any kind of dream you want to have. When pigs fly, you'll be able to do that. And he, instead of, and so that professor was a naysayer for him, was saying, yeah, that memoir you're working on, you'll finish it when the pigs fly, But that has become now kind of a shorthand. You may see it occasionally in stores or something, but a little shorthand for saying that, that anything that we think is highly unlikely, it's not really going to happen. So, oh yeah, right, when the pigs fly. But, it's like when we can take our stories and when we can say that, yeah, it's possible, when we can put a use positive language, when we can say, yeah, I will find another job. I'm going to get to a place where I'm able to laugh again. Yeah, I will love again. I won't be alone for the rest of my life. But that's when the pigs fly. And then the last thing that he found that all transformative stories have that help us to move from Good Friday to Easter is that what he calls nail the ending. That stories, life stories, generally follow one of two themes. You know, that they're either a contamination narrative or a redemption narrative. And the contamination narrative is a story that describes some major events, or an event that's upending in our lives, and it always ends with making our lives worse. The event itself could be neutral. It could be graduating college, it could be getting married, it could be positive or negative. But we end the story with something downbeat, like, well, you know, I love becoming a mom, but then my husband cheated on me. Or, you know, I recovered from a stroke, but I can't ride my bike anymore. So that's a contamination story, but it always ends on a downbeat. Whereas a redemption story is when we describe the events in our lives, but the result is that it makes our life better. You know, and again, the event can be positive or negative, but it ends on an upbeat note, like, oh, my father's death was long and painful, but it really brought our family together, and we're much tighter knit because of that. My friend in ministerial school lost her mother and several family members within a few short years. Patricia Lansky, she's been here as a guest speaker. But she wrote a book about the grieving process, and she is in such a good place about it now, and she's able to share that message with others. So the redemption narrative is telling the story in a way that we see that it's actually made our life better. And so, you know, it's to know that writing that happy ending isn't something that happens quickly. It can take many years to get to that point, but eventually getting to the place where we can find something to articulate that perhaps is constructive or hopeful that comes out of the experience. And to know that it's our choice. How we write the story, how we tell the story. And so, you know, I think the Easter story is one that gives us an opportunity to have the time gap, to put a little bit of distance between what happened and the present. It's a story about knowing that pigs can fly, you know. John Steinbeck proved that pigs can fly, you know. And it's a story that even though Jesus went through an incredibly painful process, he rose above it. There was no stone large enough, no guards, no king in the world, no power in the world greater that could hold back that infinite possibility for good that Jesus represents and teaches. And so I feel like when we share the Easter story, when we retell it every year, when we remind ourselves of it, and when we share our own stories with the benefits of these understandings about time and the confidence that pigs can fly and looking for a redemptive meaning, that's what helps us to roll away the stone, whatever it is that's blocking the light of day, to be able to come into the place where we're standing. And so the three things, the three stages of God's work are impossible, difficult, done. And to remember that pigs can fly, and so can I. In fact, why don't we say that together? Pigs can fly, and so can I. I believe it. And so through Christ, I rise again. Through Christ, I rise again. So, okay, now we're ready to move into our time of meditation, and I think we'll start with the song. And the choir has been, working so faithfully and to learn this song to share with us today, and I'm just so excited to enjoy it. So. So, for our meditation, last Sunday I suggested that we can use our palms in at least 3 ways. To one, place them in a prayer position to remind us to always look up, and to hold everything in prayer. We can place our palms around ourselves to give us hope, encouragement, a hug when we need it. And we can put our palms out to remind us to reach out and look for ways that we can connect with others. So let's take a moment now. I just invite you to gently close your eyes and choose a position for your palms. It can be open or together. And let's just breathe into the fresh newness of this Easter morning. We have moved through times in our own lives, collectively, as a country, as a community, when it may have felt for a while like things were impossible, or certainly very, very difficult. And we are the overcomers. This is the 3rd day. This is the reminder, invitation to appreciate all the ways that we have overcome in our lives. And so I invite you for a moment to just appreciate that about yourself. Say, I am an overcomer. I've got projects and plans. I've got people I'm connected with. I've got faith that tells me pigs can fly. And let's just take a few moments to breathe in the newness of this day, of this season. Of the spiritual practice that is unity and that is Easter. On this glorious Easter Sunday, the sun rises on a new day. And I am glorious to call to life and shining with joy because the Christ is risen in me. And please join me in sending healing love and light unconditionally to every corner of our world, all living beings. And let us hold together these four intentions for ourselves and for everyone. Joyful, energetic body. A loving, compassionate heart. Reflective, alert, and peace-filled mind. And a lightness of being. We behold this for ourselves and for our world. And so I invite you to begin to deepen your breathing. Take a few deep breaths. Ease back into this moment. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. Look around the room and say, Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Good to see you.
Happy Easter.
Yes, friends and I'm not sure if there's anyone that's here for the first time, newcomers, or if you haven't been here in a while, welcome back. If this is your first time, please make sure you check with one of our greeters. We have a special gift that we like to give to newcomers in the welcome packet. But it's good to see some old friends and new friends. And so now it's a time in our service where we have an opportunity to reflect on all that we're grateful for and to share some of our blessings with our ministry. We think of this as practicing generosity, and you can contribute to our ministry, to the mission and work of Unity of Buffalo in person here during the service, checks or cash. And we also have many people that give during the week using on our website. There's a donate now button. You can give online or mailing in checks for people who are viewing our service on YouTube live or later in the day, later in the week. So please hold your gifts in your hand, what you have to give today, or the thought of what you're giving this month. And let's affirm this blessing together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Freely I give, and freely I receive. Thank you, God. We do this with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. It just feels good to do it. We bless these gifts and see them pressed down, shaken together, heaped up, and running over and return to every giver. Thank you, God. It's just with love and gratitude. Amen. So, transformational opportunities. We have a few things I want to bring to your attention. This coming Friday, which is also Earth Day, from 11 to 3, there will be a bunch of people, and you're invited to join us out on our Peace Park to rake up leaves, and there's a whole bunch of branches and things that need to be tied up into bundles to be taken out. And I think maybe planting some trees, right, Elaine? So Elaine and Annabelle are leading our effort with that. So please bring your own tools, a rake and gloves and everything. But that will be this Friday, 11 to 3. And then one of the most important things that's happening in the next month or so is our next Spirit Group series. It's starting the first week in May. And Lonnie and Millie have brought this book to our attention, and I think it's going to be wonderful. It's called Our Moment of Choice, Evolutionary Visions and Hope for the Future. And it's a series of very short essays. That's why I like them. Each one's about 5 or 6 pages, and they're grouped into sections based on peace, building bridges, restoring ecological balance, social change, healing ourselves and the planet, science and spirituality, integrating those two. And so the spirit groups, right now I think there are 4 different groups that are going to meet. Some of them are meeting in the afternoons, Thursday and Friday, some of them evening. One's led by Max, one by Lonnie and Millie, one by Amy Barone and Tom DeLore, and some of them meet on Zoom. So you can, so we're making it available as broadly and hopefully widely available to make it easy to be part of. You can sign up over on the table on the, outside the office or online. Really is probably the best way through our website or the email blast. Also, I'm starting another new member class, so if you're ready to become a member of our church, and you haven't been yet, that will meet for 4 Mondays in May, starting May 2nd. And I'm also going to teach a Foundations of Unity class based on Discover the Power Within and Lessons in Truth. So if you want to get a really, just a good grounding on what does unity teach, where do we come from, what is our basic theology, please sign up for that class, and we'll decide whether we're going to do it in person or on Zoom, or we might make it both. And then next Sunday, so we got a lot going on here. Next Sunday, Alan Jameson, who's a Native American elder, will be here to share a message with us about Earth Day. And then later in May, on Sunday, May 15th, our board is having another quarterly update and sharing congregational meetings, so that. And then, last but not least, is Joyce and Nikki have brought some Easter favors for all of us, some little Easter candies, I think. And so please make sure you get one before you leave. They're right over here. And, the Easter Bunny apparently came early and dropped these off. So, but the Easter Bunny had a lot of places to get to, was really busy, so she's not here right now, but she's hip-hopping around town, but she did come in early and drop off these candies. So, those are all the announcements for now, I think. So let's close with our prayer for protection together. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And now we can stand and sing this song together. Now there is peace.